Gazi was once a strategic thriving port town, the capital of the south coast, once the stronghold of the Mazrui rebellion against the Zanzibar-based Busaidi dynasty, a thriving slave trading hub, and later a strategic British colonial administration. Today, it's a shadow of its former glory, a remote village trying to catch up with the rest of Kenya. These ruins are synonymous with the rise and fall of Gazi. This was the palace of the renegade Mazrui chief Mbaruk bin Rashid bin Salim. It was a symbol of authority, and here lies the dark history of Gazi and its brutal ruler.
Bado iko order. Na ukiangalia saa hizi nyumba kijengewa muda miaka 3-4 na udongo imekwisha. Lakini sasa ukiangalia hicho kaa na hii imekuwa
ilitengenezwa na chokaa.
Sio na hii chokaa na majivu. Sio na.
Na hii yote it was built by slaves.
Yes.
Locals refer to this former palace as the House of Slaves, subject to mysterious and painful folklores, chilling stories of brutality meted on slaves during the dark years of the infamous human trade.
Watu wengine walikuwa wakipelekwa Zanzibar, wengine walikuwa wakifanywa maabusu kwamba kuchomwa ama kujengewa mwili ukasimamishwa wima kwenye ukuta sehemu kama kona 6, mtu anasimamishwa wima unajengewa. Mili mengine ilikuwa ukichanganywa na pilipili, ukitiwa kwenye shimo, ukichanganywa na pilipili ukichoma, alafu kulikuwa na andaki inaenda chini kwa chini mpaka baharini, na ule mzoga unasombwa na maji unapelekwa baharini. Umeona kwamba kuna meno yamechanganywa na mawe. Sasa haya ni meno ya binadamu ambazo unaona, kuna nyingine ni shells, lakini kuna meno ambazo unaziona hizi ni molars ambazo unaziona.
Meaning kulikuwa na watu wengi sana ambao
watu wengi.
Hii meno yote haiwezi kuwa ni ya watu hata 100 ni kidogo.
Wale wakija ni wale watumwa wanakuja hapa. Ndio kulikuwa kama ni depot ya wale watumwa. She was a pregnant mother. She was being scattered by the war. Sasa ndio
what do you mean? She was aliwekwa kama foundation.
Unaona ile ni wall amesimamishwa wima na akajengewa kwamba alikuwa na kiume ndani. Kumaanisha kwamba yule mwanamke alikuwa ni mjamzito, adhabu yake akajengewa vile alivyokuwa na kiume ndani akajengewa kwenye ukuta.
So apart from slaves pia were used as pillars also. So wangewekwa kwa hii part.
Hiyo part
kama pillar.
Ni pillar.
Na wima.
Kama hizo pillar nimekwambia we have 6 corners. Ambazo construct by the human being. Stand up and then the constructor construct themselves.
Okay, 6 pillars.
6 pillars.
In this house.
In this house. Mbaruk.
So they used human beings, slaves, as pillars to this house.
Gazi was a significant transit center where newly captured slaves from the interior of East Africa were held, often in caves before being shipped to Zanzibar and other markets in Arabia, Asia, and the Indian Ocean islands of Seychelles and Mauritius.
Wa alaikum salam.
The lifestyle within the palace was an indicator of the wealth of the slave trading and blended Omani Arab heritage with the local Swahili culture. The palace contained fine furnishings that symbolized wealth and status. A large, intricately carved wooden door from this palace in Gazi is now a notable exhibit at Fort Jesus, showcasing the high-quality craftsmanship and materials used. Daily life was likely structured around Islamic prayer times and the cycles of trade winds that brought dhows to the coast. The diet would have been rich, combining local staples with imported rice, spices, and other goods. Enslaved people formed the foundation of the palace's economy and day-to-day operations, working within the household, guarding the premises, and laboring in the surrounding plantations that generated much of the sheikh's wealth. Within the palace walls, a multitude of slaves performed domestic chores, including cooking, cleaning, fetching water, attending to the needs of the women in the harem, and acting as personal servants to the sheikh and his family. The slaves originated from as far as Malawi, Mozambique, Tanganyika, Congo, and Abyssinia. So who was Mbaruk bin Rashid bin Salim al-Mazrui, the Sheikh of Gazi? Mbaruk was the son of the last Mazrui governor of Mombasa, Rashid bin Salim, who had been deposed and murdered on the orders of the Sultan of Oman and Zanzibar, Sayyid Said, who took over Mombasa in 1837, replacing the Mazrui dynasty with the Al Busaidi dynasty. Gazi was the last attempt of the Mazruis to assert their independence from their long-time opponents, the Busaidi dynasty.
Mbaruk alikuja na chombo ama meli kutoka Zanzibar, kwamba kulikuwa na watumwa. Sasa alikuwa akinunua watumwa, kabidi sasa aishilie hapa kijiji cha Gazi, kwamba naye awe akinunua watumwa, akipeleka na akiuza.
The Mazrui were an Omani Arab clan who settled in East Africa in 1741 and governed Mombasa until they were eventually overthrown by the Al Busaidi Sultan Said Said of Oman in 1837. After losing control of Mombasa, they maintained influence in other areas like Takaungu and Gazi. Sheikh Mbaruk appears in colonial documents during the Mazrui uprising of 1895 to 96, when he, together with a section of his Mazrui family, rejected British choice of his cousin Rashid to take over as the Liwali or governor of Takaungo after the death of his father Salim bin Khamis al-Mazrui. Rashid was known to be friendly to the British. However, Rashid's older cousin Mbaruk had a better claim to the Liwali or governor according to Islamic law. Mbaruk, the Mazrui chief of Gazi, supported Mbaruk, who the British regarded as fanatical and troublesome. Mbaruk and his brother Aziz fled to Gazi in 1895 after the British sent naval forces to Kilifi to quell his rebellion against the new Liwali Rashid. Sir Arthur Hardinge, the British consul of Zanzibar, sent a letter to Mbaruk asking him to dissuade his cousin Mbaruk and Aziz from attacking Takaungu. But Takaungu was attacked. Mbaruk replied to Hardinge that he will have to come to Gazi to get the rebels if he wanted them. When the British arrived in Gazi, they found it deserted. The Mazrui chiefs had gone to their inland stronghold of Mwele in the Shimba Hills forest, leaving a trail of destruction behind them, looting the neighboring town of Vanga, massacring Imperial British East Africa Company police and terrorizing the Indian merchants. The Mazrui rebels would in early 1896 attack Malindi, destroying much of the town. And finally the British spurred into action. In March 1896, the regiment of the 24th Baluchistan arrived from Bombay under the command of Major Hatch. Shortly afterwards, the final battle for Mwele took place. General Matthews and a detachment of Marines laboriously dragged a 7-pounder cannon through the woods and up the hill, which they used to level the Mazrui stronghold of Mwele to the ground after an 18-day siege. The Baluchi troops chased the rebels until they fled across the border into German East Africa. Here, after negotiations between Sir Arthur Hardinge and the German governor Major van Wiesman, the rebels laid down their arms at Ma on 24th April 1896 and were interned at Dar es Salaam. By 1900, most of the 3,000 men who had followed Mbaruk across the border had returned. A further amnesty was arranged in 1909, but Mbaruk of Gazi and his sons Sebe and Ayub and some close followers decided not to return. Mbaruk ended his days at an estate outside Dar es Salaam and died in 1912. In September 1895, Ali bin Salim occupied Mbaruk's palace in Gazi. In recognition of this, Sultan Hamid appointed him the Liwali of Gazi. Is this house haunted, as local folklore claims?
Binti alikuwa ni jini.
Ni jini. Alikuwa anauzishwa jini.
One oral story goes that one of Mbaruk's son, either Sebe or Ayub, was married to a jinn.
Alikuwa amekuja na kijana wake kuja kuandamana naye. Alipokuja naye alibidi naye amtafutie binti ili amuozeshe upate uhusiano baina ya Mbaruku na wana wa Gazi. Bwana alipompatia yule bibi mkono, ule mkono ukageuka, uso ukageuka sura ya simba.
Maanisha mkono vipi? Ile ya
Kiswahili, na umekubali kumuoa binti fulani fulani. Sura ikageuka ya simba, miguu ikageuka ya punda. Yule mwanamke alibidi aanguke muda wa mwezi mmoja.
I was curious to come face to face with these claimed jinns or ghosts of the dead slaves in the stillness of the night. You could feel the vibe of paranormal activities here. Oh. It's creepy. Gazi was a strategically important coastal area during World War I, where British and German forces clashed. Had Gazi fallen to the Germans, Mombasa would possibly have fallen to the hands of the Germans. The British positioned their available units there to defend against German advances towards Mombasa. On October 7, 1914, this port town was a location of the Battle of Gazi. German Schutztruppe forces led by Colonel Paul von Lettel-Vorberg advanced on the coast from German East Africa, modern-day Tanzania, with a mission to capture Mombasa. The British successfully repulsed the German push toward the strategically important port of Mombasa. The engagement was a very hot skirmish in which the British Captain Wavell and 22 soldiers from his local unit, the Arab Rifles, were killed. The importance of Gazi as an administrative center declined after World War I, with new colonial centers like Msambweni, Kwale Town and Lungalunga growing in importance. The growth of Mombasa and improved road communication also contributed to the decline of the ports of Gazi.
Marhaba. Marhaba.
Hili jengo halina mtu wa kushughulikia kwa muda mrefu. Kina mama wa Gazi wakajitolea wakasema hii ni sehemu ambao ni nzuri ambao tuweza kupata watalii wakuja tukauza sira zetu za historia za kale. Lakini sasa ukiangalia changamoto kuu, hatujapata wadhamini ama watu wa kushika mkono ili tuiboreshe hii sehemu iwe iko hali mbaya sana. Tulipata bwana mwingine alikuwa
I mean it's in a deploring condition. I mean serikali, the government has to do something about it. Ama nani mwenye mhusika hasa?
Mhusika hapo huyo
National Museum,
National Museum. Alikuja huyo ambaye yuko Kwale anaitwa Ali Mwarora. Akaja akaangalia hii sehemu, akaleta waziri hapa, akaja mpaka
nothing has been done because as time goes the building is becoming more and more deplorable, and it's not shocking that one day it will be crushed down. It's a sad, considering that it's a national heritage.
Ni watu wa National Museum wakae chini na watu wa Gazi ama na jamii na chama ambacho kinashughulikia tuboreshe hii sehemu iwe hali kama ile Shimoni Cafe.
Ujumbe wako kwa
ujumbe wangu kwa sababu sisi ni wamiliki ya hii sehemu. Tunataka tuiboreshe hii sehemu, tupate wageni ambao wakija wanajua, kwa maana hii watoto ambao wanakuja baadaye na wapate kumbukumbu za historia za kale, turathi ya kale. Lakini sasa ikiwa hali kama hii, tabidi ile historia ya kale pia itakuwa imepotea. Wale ambao wanakuja hawajui kumbukumbu za kale zilikuwa vipi na vipi. Na kiangalia kiwa kama hali kama hii, tabidi ididimie, ianguke. Itakuwa ile ushirikaji bora.
The point is clear and home that the government has to do something regarding this national heritage here in Gazi, Kwale County. Well, let's hope the government will listen to us and do something about it. But kila wakati tukiwaambia wanasema hakuna pesa.